ponder the question of what if. What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to LilBigMan Gaming, bringing you another review for this time. As you see, what if episode 7? What if Thor were an only child? This was a different one. This was different. This was very different from the first 6 episodes of What If were very, very, I want to say very serious and very, very serious tone and very gritty. This does a 180, so I can see how this catch people off guard, because this episode is not at all what the first 6 episodes of What If was. At least for the most, I want to say for a brief, maybe 1 to 2 minutes at the end. So the synopsis reads: Thor, who never learned to be a good hero, throws an out-of-control intergalactic party on Earth. So this What If is like, I want to say, the first Thor movie combined with Guardians of the Galaxy 1 and 2. I want to say, I think it was, I want to say that it has some characters from both Guardians of the Galaxy and some Avengers stuff as well. But yeah, this was like the What Ifs is like a combination of a couple of movies put together, because since certain things happen a different way, they kind of forced 2 different movies to happen at the same time. It was very much Thor eccentric and Thor 1 heavy. This also had Thor the Dark World plus Thor 1 mixed into it, along with it also had Thor elements of Thor Ragnarok. So basically, this was like Thor. I'm trying to figure out how to word this, but it's like Thor 1, but it has elements of Dark World and Ragnarok, along with Guardians of the Galaxy 1 and 2. I'm trying to see, did it have anything else other than that? Yeah. So this episode 2 also is significant, though, in one way. I think this is the episode that had the most, pretty much everybody except for one person, pretty much everybody from the MCU, the live action character, everybody from Maria Hill to Nick Fury down to Phil Coulson, Thor himself, everybody here pretty much returned. Even Jane Foster herself, Natalie Portman, she even returned to voice her character. Everybody was back. I think the only person that wasn't back was Brie Larson. I'm not sure. Let me know in the comments down below. But I'm pretty sure Brie Larson was the only person in this movie that didn't voice that character. Captain Marvel was also in this episode, but I think she wasn't voiced by Brie Larson. Though she sounds similar to Brie Larson, I don't think it was actually Brie Larson, because she wasn't on the credits. The beginning credits, and I don't think the end credits either, as a voice of Captain Marvel. I have to relook again, but I'm pretty sure that wasn't Brie Larson. But yeah, this episode kicks off with Thor. Basically, they telling the story of how Thor, I guess the what if situation, as it said, was that everything happened for Thor the way how it was supposed to happen up until Odin goes and fights with the Frost Giants and comes across a baby Loki. And what changed in this universe was that when Odin, while in the main MCU timeline, Odin decided to keep Loki and raise him as his own son. In this timeline, Odin never took Loki and he left Loki with the Frost Giants. He well, he did. I think he did take Loki, but then he gave Loki back and made peace with the Frost Giants. So so like basically the Frost Giants was never their enemies because Odin ended up giving Loki back, which meant that Thor was the only child and he never learned. He never basically learned how, like it says there, he never learned to be a hero because he didn't have that relationship with Loki to ground him to change his perspective on life. So I think like the events of the events of the first Avengers movie never happens because Loki is no longer a villain. But yeah, this is just spawned into like Thor. Once the Odin sleep happens, they Thor and his mother basically sit there and basically prepare Odin for the sleep as Odin goes on to sleep to recharge. Odin then Amelia, I think is her name, then goes, I think that was her name, like Alfina. I think it's Alfina. I think it's Alfina. She goes on like a trip to visit her friends that she never gets to do. And Thor, while she leaves Thor there to basically study and prepare herself to become king one day and the ruler all the realms, instead of doing that, Thor doesn't want to be some stiff, serious king. He wants to be a loose, fun king. So he decides to throw an intergalactic party. And instead of throwing a party at on Midgard, he convinced Sif and all of them to come with him to this party that he wants to throw. But he said, how could we possibly go anywhere with Hamnel basically watching us? And Hamnel was basically like, it was like a glorified adult babysitter for Thor and the others. And basically, while Odin was sleeping and Thor's mother was away, was visiting friends, they was basically being the babysitter. It was weird. So basically, Thor decides that we're gonna go to Midgard because that's the only planet that Heimdall wouldn't see them at, because Heimdall, I guess in this universe, Heimdall, that's the only planet in the realms that Heimdall doesn't watch. So that was the perfect place to go throw their party at. So they basically land in a party. They come to Earth, to the party city itself in the United States, Las Vegas. They land in Las Vegas and they greet everyone. The people are scared because they think it's aliens getting ready to invade. They said, "Prepare yourselves." And the people are like, "Oh my God, honey, hold me." They just looking as they thought that they think they about to get hurt, and Thor just come and say, "As for the party of your life," people like, "Oh, okay," and Thor just proceeds to throw this big old party where everybody, like I said from the MCU, so you got Nebula, Nebula Solar, and it was weird when Nebula Solar, she's like in the casino gambling, and she doesn't, she sounds just basically like Nebula. She still got that dark hatred voice. "Come on, Nebula needs a pair of new shoes." I'm like, why does she sound still so? She still sounds so angry. She's having fun and smiling, but her voice still sounds like she's angry as hell. You got Jeff Goldblum's Jeff Goldblum's character. I think. Man, I hate myself now. From Thor Ragnarok and his assistant, I think it was the Grandmaster. They show up. You got you got basically Rocket and Drax. You got you got Loki as a frost giant, where he still got the Loki helmet, but it's made of ice, and he's just like a giant frost giant. And him and Loki are like they like best of friends. They brothers from another mother. So it's like this non-stop party, right? Thor is just having this non-stop party. He basically he gets into a lot of trouble. Like a wild out of control party does separate on the intergalactic scale because he's just not partying in Vegas. He goes to France. He goes all around the world. He's going from the United States to France. Like he's turned the whole world into the party instead of just partying in one spot. He's partying everything, but it does have a little bit. It's still Thor 1, right? So there's a little bit of a romance story with Jane and Thor. They together romancing and chopping up. It was like a big old party. Jane wakes up with a hangover, and she finds out that Maria Hill, because I think they like contacted Shield about the alien invaders before they found out it was Thor, and she ends up falling for Thor, and they go into their string. They want to nuke and blow up and kill Thor. And they try to figure, Maria Hill. Jane Foster. She's trying to figure out why Maria Hill's going, why she's the actor director, and why she's going to the string of trying to kill Thor. And then it's revealed that Nick Fury came trying to stop Thor from partying. I think he was saying something similar. What he said to Thor in the first Thor movie and in Thor. It was a combination of what he said to Thor in the first Thor movie and the first Avengers, and then he was like trampled and shot through the air because Korg basically charged at him and I think blew him up into the air, and they was like, "Oh my God, that really happened to him? Is he okay?" He said he's still unconscious. I'm like, "Oh God!" So it was a bit over. It was a bit over the top comedy. It was basically like a party. It was basically like you was watching a party movie, but with MCU characters, and they tried to stop him. They called Captain Marvel. She comes down and has like this battle with him. I think she got beat. I think she lost the first round, but ended up winning the second round. And but look like without going to the extreme, they don't know how to stop Thor. So Jane Foster has an idea. She realized that what happens when basically parents are away and the child throws a wild crazy party. Someone ends up always calling the parent back home, and that's what gets the party shut down. And that's what they do here. They end up usually I think Jane and I think Darcy. Is it Darcy? Dave? I forgot the other girl's name that be with Jane. They both amplify this machine to call out the Homnil. And Homnil basically hears it and teleports Jane up to him. And Jane's like, "Hi, Homnil. Thor." And he's like, "Boo!" And he teleports her to Thor's mother. She basically tells Thor's mother what's going on. And Thor's mother used a lot of black magic to like almost astral project herself to Thor, and Thor is freaking out. And he's like, "Oh, I'm not on Midgard causing trouble. I'm in my room, obviously studying like you told me to." Like Thor went from a grown man to a child, and and basically when she realized, she was like, "Oh yeah, so you're just good, huh? You're not doing anything." You have your reports and all that type of stuff. She's like, yeah, I've been studying and learning how to be the king. He said, she's like, cool, because I can't wait to see your thesis because I'm coming there now. And she basically said goodbye to her friends and see you in another 1,000 years. I'm like, oh, Lord. She hasn't seen her friends in 1,000 years? Oh, man, that's a long time for Asgardians. But, yeah, she ends up basically teleporting. Teleporting to Earth. She teleported to Earth, and while it's showing her slowly making her way to Earth, Thor is like basically freaking out, trying to get everybody to help him clean up the mess, and the mess being all the destruction they caused on Earth, and And they like Loki's like, hey man, I said we was brothers from another mother. I ain't got nothing to do with that. Ain't got nothing to do with this. We out of here. And everybody just getting ready to leave because Thor basically killing the party they had all around the world, and Thor uses godly voice, and he goes up in the air and calls a lightning storm and uses a godly voice. And for a minute, he sounded like cool as hell, like saying, hey, "Listen to me, I am Thor, son of oldest son." He basically commanded them to help him. He's like, "Because my mother is coming." they was like, "What?" Everybody's like, "What?" Your mother, and then it was like for some reason everybody's scared of Thor's mother, so they just helped Thor clean up the earth. And by the time she gets there, it's like like I said, one of those moments like in the movies where when the parent finally gets home, it's like they turn the knob, it's like and open the door, and the kids are just sitting there like, yeah, so who wants to go next? Uno. It's like, what? Somehow she gets there, Thor is basically teaching the class. He's doing his work. They're like, oh, so nothing happened. So you didn't come here and destroy anything, huh? He was like, no. He was like, no. Just came down. Like I said, we was down here teaching the class, learning. And she was buying it for a moment. Then Captain Marvel came and gave him a tablet with more stuff for him. And I was like, yeah, it's so small, and yet it has everything I need to know. And she was like, well, thank you for getting him straight. I think she realized basically alluding to she know what Thor did. She know he had a fight. He had a fight with Captain Marvel. Like most parents already know you messed up somewhere. And Thor like, well, he said, let me go. Oh yeah, before I go, he calls back Imaginor, but it comes back like full of bees and girl panties and stuff like that. He said, fuck, oh Lord. He said, I could explain this, Mom. And she just like, oh my God. And but yeah, it was a good episode. I won't say it was bad. I've been seeing a lot lately. People were saying like it sucked or it wasn't that good. It wasn't terrible. It was just different from what we've been getting. We've been getting like this nonstop these good nonstop serious episodes, and then they had to. I knew they had to have one episode that was just basically, a goofy comedy, and this basically what this was. This was like a goofy comedy episode, like after all these serious, especially after the last episode where everybody was just getting murdered. They said, hey, let's dial it back down and just have fun. He said, even the watchers, like, for the first time, like how you Americans say, they live happily ever after. And then all of a sudden we get a little surprise from a villain from the second Avengers movie. But it's not as what it seems. It seems like he might have gotten what he wanted. Anyway, if I were to give this episode anything, I give this just like the wrestling review video. I give this also a 7 big ups because it wasn't bad. I wouldn't say it was bad. It made me laugh, and if you can make me laugh, you're essentially a good episode. It was just you did your job for me enough for me to say you wasn't horrible, but it wasn't horrible. It wasn't the perfect 10s like the other episodes was, but for what it was a funny episode. You got to see people interact in different ways and just see everybody being like a party animal and stuff like that. You got villains and from the Thor movies who wasn't even villains. They were just, or villains from the Guardians of the Galaxy movie who wasn't even villains. They just was there partying up. But yeah, I give it 7 big ups just because it was cool. It was cool. But if you enjoyed this review video, then hit that button right there in the upper right corner for all of my reviews. And if you truly enjoy and want to support the channel, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, become part of the family, become part of the tribe to acknowledge me as the one who gives you reviews. The only one, the best one to give you the reviews. Acknowledge me. And hit that notification button so you get notified when I drop videos. And as always, hit one of these videos for more of my amazing content. But don't go nowhere. Got some more. Finally, Marvel Avengers coming your way. Peace.